They are being, because these are illegal conduct. This is illegal conduct. You have cases where we have seen Ugandan citizens who are engaged in legitimate political campaign activity. And you have police officers beating up people with sticks like cows. I don't know whether you still have the legitimacy to be an Inspector General of Police. I think Ugandans, we have now been, we've normalized the situation where we just take everything. But if I was the Inspector General of Police and I'm not able to put those officers in order, I definitely would not even spend one day being an IGP. Because I believe for us, we lead small organizations, small businesses. When we lead, we are supposed to be leaders. Yeah? That's what leadership is about. So if you are the Inspector General of Police, you have control over the institution. You can't get your personnel go and brutalize people and harass people, and then you every other day you are appearing before the press and talking about how you are doing policing work. So obviously, without a doubt, if the IGP cannot be able, that if he thinks he does not have the power and the authority to rein in these marauding gangs that are brutalizing Ugandan citizens, I would would encourage him to resign. Because you see, my knowledge of Byakagaba, we've interacted in different ways. These are very decent professional police officers. I think they are also helpless, like each one of us. There's something that they are not telling us. So because I know the Byakagaba that I know is not the one who would allow some criminals going and beating people all over the country, and he thinks it is okay. I would want to really vote for him, but I think he is also captured and helpless, like any ordinary citizen in this country. Conscience. That's what we would call prisoners of conscience here. That the Sarah is being picked, so the regime can pick anybody else, because there is a police force that has been weaponized against citizens. And as Anthony has said, it has created a pipeline from the police through the DPP, the judiciary, to the prison. So in other words, they manufacture all kinds of allegations and all kinds of fraudulent evidence to be able to get you to jail. And so we cannot be surprised if today Sarah was presented to court and remanded immediately, because the objective is to make sure that she's kept in jail, even when there is no credible offense. This is what has happened with people like Dr. Besija and Abed Rutare, who have been basically, essentially all the institutions, the police, the DPP, the court-martial, the courts are weaponized against citizens. We are seeing it in the case of the NUP politicians, Waiswa Mufumbila, Eddie Mutwe. There's a young woman called Doreen Kaija, who basically was a very innocent, humble young woman, basically teaching civic activism, teaching political awareness, and then you use the institutions of state to keep them in jail. That is what is called weaponization of institutions of state against citizens. And I think, as senior citizen Miria said, for me it's really very disturbing that these things can be happening under President Museveni's leadership. A man who fought for 5 years, fought a war for 5 years, a war in which over 500,000 people were killed, for him to come to power and proclaim that Uganda is now becoming a democracy, and then all these democratic reversals are happening under his rule. I think, Miria, our president needs prayers. Yeah, I think we need to double our prayers, because I believe that as a country we need President Museveni to succeed and be an enigma in this country. But the way he's losing control because sometimes you ask yourself whether these institutions actually are still operating under his command, or if they, or like I think like Anthony said, if they have been totally captured, and so even himself, the police, and all these police officers, by the way, they all look like victims. You know, when you talk to them and you are trying to engage them, they are all confused. They all look helpless and hopeless like everybody else. So that this situation we are in, as Ugandans, we need to be able to really to work together, what I normally call collective citizen resistance. That all of us as citizens, we have to resist this situation and work to change it, because otherwise this is a monster that can eat each one of us one by one, and basically end up taking back our country to where it has come from. So I think that's really something that we need to be aware of, that that the institutions like Law Society, that's why we singled out Law Society, because the leadership of the Law Society now is coming out. Because in every authoritarian regime, institutions like the Law Society, institutions like the church, the religious leaders are the ones who become the last line of resistance against authoritarianism, against democratic reversals. And really, we want to call upon each one of these institutions to continue doing the, speaking out, because many of them have been speaking out, continue speaking out and demanding that this country is returned to constitutional rule, which was promised by our founding fathers and mothers in the 1995 Constitution.
Okukatiriza ensonga ya police mu Uganda, ekitongole ekitebwawo ssemateeka. Ekitongole kya police kiina ba officer oba bakikolera abali mu mitwalo nga 5. Munnayuganda omu bw'ati, katugambe ng'ono omukyala yakwatiddwa Sarah Bireete, tosobola kumukwata nga muli abantu emitwalo 5 abalina omulimu guno ogw'okunoonyereza ne mugamba nti temunategeera musango ki gwe mugenda muteekako. Era omulanga guno njagala gwolekeza eri omwami akulira ekitongole kino, mwami Abbas Byakagaba, nti bino ebintu ebikolebwa abantu okutoboola eddembe ly'abantu buli lukedde, walibeerawo obudde nga bwe babuuza nti ani yali akulira ekitongole kino, nti yali omwami Abbas Byakagaba. Ate bino byenjogera tebiva mu bbanga, twakirabako mu budde bwa General Kale Kayihura eyalinga katonda wano mu Uganda. Naye omwami oyo yakwatibwa, ebyaddirira mwenna mwabiraba. Ate waliyo n'ebitongole international courts ebisobola okutunula mu nsonga zino ne bivunaana abantu bano bakola ebintu bino n'ababikulira. Ekirala okugamba nti gwe kyoli mu kukola order from above, ebyo byaggyibwawo emyaka egiyise nga 7, nti tokyasobola kwekwasa nti nze bantumye, ate nga kye bakutumye kimenya amateeka. Gwe toli robot, era naawe olina obwongo obukugamba nti kino si training gye nafuna. Ekisembayo, mwami Abbas Byakagaba, omulimu guno mu Uganda mulimu abantu miliyoni zikomerekeza mu miliyoni 5. Bw'oba ng'owulira nti okukuuma eddembe, okukuuma bannayuganda n'ebyabwe, tosobola bituukiriza ng'amateeka ge balambika. Abantu ne bakubibwa, abantu ne bayisibwa bubi buli lukedde, nga tosobola kukulira kitongole kino okukola ssemateeka nga bw'alambika oba nga Police Act bw'erambika. Lekulira, walivaayo omulala ayinza okukola omulimu ogwo. Naye okutuula awo, feba abawa omusolo, ne tukuwa uniforms, ne tukuwa emmotoka ensajja, ne tukuwa w'obeera awalungi ennyo, ne tukufacilitating mu buli ngeri, ate n'okola bino bannayuganda n'olemwa okutuukiriza ssemateeka bye obuvunaanyizibwa bwo nga bwe bulambika. Lekulira. kuba bw'otalekulira era obudde bujja kutuuka obuvunaanyizibwe nga Ssekinnoomu nga mwami Kayihura bwe yavunaanyizibwa. Mwebale nnyo.
Metropolitan Police spokesperson Rachel Kawala did not disclose any alleged crimes of which Sarah was arrested. It is unfortunate that more than 48 hours since Sarah was deprived of her liberty, the regime police continue to hold her in illegal custody. It is important for Ugandans and the international community to note that the manner in which Sarah was arrested and her current incarceration is blatantly illegal and uncalled for. It is against Article 23, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, which states that a person arrested, restricted, or detained shall be informed immediately in a language that the person understands of the reasons for the arrest, restriction, or detention, and of his or her right to a lawyer of his or her choice. The illegality of Uganda police actions is manifest in a number of ways. First, Sarah Bireete is a known public figure and a recognized pro-democracy and human rights activist. She has a known place of abode and has never failed to respond to police summons. It is therefore crude and lack of regard for Sarah's personal liberty that Uganda police ignored the standard procedures of investigation that require summoning a person of interest to appear before it as prescribed under our nation's laws. It is important to note that Uganda police has increasingly been infected by a habit of summoning senior government officials and politicians, while it employs bullying tactics of arresting ordinary Ugandans through bullying, violence, and against the standard due process procedures. Secondly, Sarah's residence was invaded and a search conducted without a search warrant. It is also now known that the phones of Sarah's two teenage boys were among the property that was confiscated during this unauthorized search. It is inconceivable that a professional police force would invest in acts that tantamount to traumatizing two young school-going Ugandans who the police has not alleged to have aided or abetted whatever offense that Uganda police may be manufacturing against Sarah Bireete. We call upon the Uganda police to resist this practice of using unsanctioned arrests to bully, harass, and intimidate Ugandan citizens, especially pro-democracy and human rights activists, or those Ugandans who hold politically dissenting views. Thirdly, Sarah was arrested on December 30th, 2025. Access to her by her lawyers, family, and colleagues has been severely restricted. This is in spite of the fact that the Uganda police has not disclosed any offenses or conduct for which she is being held in custody. Efforts to secure bond for her release have been met with lukewarm attitude and outright rejection. The police have not found the charges to enable them to produce her before courts of law. On January 1st, 2026, it was difficult to get breakfast to her. The conduct of the police in this manner betrays the conduct of a professional police force that betrays the conduct of a professional police force that Uganda police claims to be. Finally, Sarah Bireete is the founding director of CCG and is currently our executive director. In this role, Sarah has contributed immensely towards building knowledge and civic foundations for democracy and respect for human rights in our country, across Africa, and globally. It is therefore disturbing that the Ugandan regime has no regard for its citizens who have excelled in their careers and profession and are making important contribution to humanity and society. While as a board, we are doing everything possible to support our staff team and ensure continuity of work at CCG, we cannot overstate the impact of the ongoing regime harassment of Sarah on the operations of the organization. Sarah's only weapon against injustice and current democratic reversals in Uganda and the region is her pen and her voice. Through these tools, the voices of Ugandans and those suffering injustice and abuse are heard far and wide. We therefore call upon the Ugandan regime to stop fearing knowledge and speech that people like Sarah and many other civil society leaders and private citizens use to amplify the voices of the oppressed and the marginalized. A regime that fears its people is a danger to both itself and the people it purports to govern. We also take the opportunity to extend our profound appreciation to all those who have stood with Sarah in solidarity. The legal fraternity led by Uganda Law Society President Isaac Semakade and Vice President Anthony Asimwe is highly appreciated. To all CCG partners from across the world and the digital warriors for democracy and justice, we can't thank you enough for speaking out against the injustice being meted on Sarah and her family. Signed, Board of Directors, Center for Constitutional Governance.